24th of February. We are studying from Srīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, the Samambonam, Chapter 14, Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. And we'll start with verse number 50, I think, yes. So we touched on 50 yesterday. We'll briefly touch upon 50 and then continue with the series of this verse from 50 to 54. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Canto 10, the Samambonam, Chapter 14, Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna, verse number 50. So as we discussed yesterday, verses 50 to 54 is a theme where Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadeva Goswami that why, he was quite confused that why the mothers and the cows of Vrindavan had more affection towards Krishna than their own children for one whole year. It's quite interesting that in the middle, right in the middle of some very, very beautiful, innocent Bal Leela of Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami is asking not one question, but a series of questions. You're thinking that, actually such a nice Leela is going on. But as we spoke a few weeks ago at the center, that with the Leela, the Tattva also must be understood. And this theme, we can see it repeated in Srīmad Bhāgavatam and in Bhagavad Gita and all our scriptures from time to time, that the Leela is going on nicely and Leela has ended, and Parikshit Maharaj is not satiated here in this case, and he still asks more questions so that the discussion on Krishna, his devotees, and the aspects of material life can go on. It's very, very interesting. So let's see what the 49th verse is. King Parikshit said, "O Brahmana, how could the cowherd women have developed for Krishna someone else's son? Such unprecedented love, pure love they never felt even for their own children. Please explain this." And then today we'll discuss the 50th verse. We read the translation and purport yesterday, so I'm just going to touch on it. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, "O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self." We all can experience this if we think deeper about this aspect. If we don't think deeper, and that's what Prabhupada actually makes us do, that he is not happy with us being on a superficial level, on the shore level. He wants us to dive deep into the ocean of nectar of the scriptures. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking a question, and Sukadeva Goswami is answering with the most basic philosophy that everyone loves their own self. Now here, own self means more body in our case. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. And we heard yesterday about false ego and extended false ego. So I want someone to read the translation of verses 50 to 54 in one stretch. So can someone unmute yourself and read the translation of 50 to 54 so that, and everyone whoever is listening, please pay attention, because there's a series of questions which a series of answers which Sukadeva Goswami is giving to Parikshit Maharaj's question. So anyone wants to recite the translation only of verses 50 to 54, because this is like one answer to one question.
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. For this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than to his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. Indeed, for persons who think the body is the self, O best of kings, those things whose importance lies only in their relationship to the body are never as dear as the body itself. If a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, he will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. Therefore, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being, and it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving entities exists.
Thank you, Mother. And now read the 55th verse, which gives a solution to this paradigm. Yeah.
55th.
Yes, 55.
You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency.
Thank you, Mataji. So we can see here that Sukadeva Goswami is speaking about ourselves here. And as I said, this theme is repeated again and again in scriptures to make us understand that we in conditioned state are very much attached to our own selves and our own extended selves. Of course, the sequence is given here that first, because we are, for us, our own self is the dearmost thing, and the dearness of our children, wealth, property, business, and so on is only because of this dearness of the self. And Sukadeva Goswami continues. In the 53rd verse, he speaks about someone who's progressing in spiritual life. So when we see also ourselves progressing in spiritual life, we can say, yes, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But still in 53rd verse, it's divided into two parts, where he says, if a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, that means you are understanding that I am the soul, I am not the body. So there is a soul which is my identity, and this body is mine. He will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self, because now, especially in our case, after coming to Krishna consciousness, we have come to realize that I am not this body. But even then, Sukadeva Goswami says, after all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. Now, of course, when someone is conditioned, the desire to remain strong, the desire to remain living is strong because, of the enjoying propensity. But if we are, becoming, better and better devotees, if one's conditioning is less, the desire to continue living is strong because of mood of service. So we have to distinguish between that. That we see, a classic example is given of Jayapataka Swami. I mean, such, he has been, into inverted commas, physically or materially not well for a long time. But look at his power, look at his potency, look at his desire to preach, to travel. And, all he's doing is just following his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada's orders. So let's get to verse number 51. Text number 51. Tadra chendra yatha sneha Swa swakatmani dehinam na tatha mamata lambi putra vitta grihadishu tadarajendra yatha sneha swa swakatmani dehinam na tatha mamata lambi putra vitta grihadishu. Tat, therefore, Raj Indra, O best of kings, Yatha, as Sneha, the affection, Swaka, of each individual, Atmani, for the self, Dehinam, of the embodied beings, Na, not, Tatha, thus, Mamata Alambi, for that which one identifies with as his possessions, Putra, sons, Vitta, wealth, Griha, homes, Adishu, and so on. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. For this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than to his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. Purport: it is now common practice all over the world for a mother to kill her own child within the womb if the birth of that child represents any inconvenience for her. Similarly, grown children eagerly place their elderly parents in lonely institutions rather than be inconvenienced by their presence at home. These and innumerable other examples prove that people in general are more attached to their own body and self, which represent I-ness, than to their family and other possessions, which represent minus. Although conditioned souls are very proud of their so-called love for society, family, and so forth, in reality, every conditioned soul is acting on the platform of gross or subtle selfishness. So this purport actually presents a stark reality of where we are situated now. Fortunately for us, we are not, exposed or privy to these sort of gross, gross acts by people. But if you, hear the news or read the news, this is happening all over the place. Killing, shooting, killing own ones, killing your ex, whatever it is, just going on and on and on. For us, the scriptures like Srīmad Bhāgavatam actually are like our GPS. Unfortunately for us, if you are driving from one place to another, and if we miss one exit, the scriptures, the GPS reroutes and takes us back on the highway. So this is what the scriptures does. And here it's very clearly mentioned that when someone is so much attached to one's own self, that even for his own possessions like children, wealth, and home, they come as secondary. Again, as I said, this theme is repeated again in the third canto when Kapila Dev is explaining the Sankhya Yoga to Mother Devhuti. Mother Devhuti is asking the same question, that why is at birth after birth after birth that, the soul is thinking that I am this body. Even though, after coming here, we realize, and that's why Prabhupada, he said time and time again, he said 10,000 times that you are not the body. And at the end, he says, devotees still don't understand I'm not this body. And that's why our attachment must be there to Krishna, as we read in the verse 55. Text 52. Does someone want to recite the verse and the word to word in translation, please? Please unmute yourself and you can recite the word 52 and synonym and the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll read the verse.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dehatma vadinam pumsam api rajanya sattama yatha deha priyatasma tatha nahi anuyechatam. Synonym.
Thank you. Yes.
Dehatma vadinam, who ascribe to the view that the body is the self. Pumsam, for persons, api, indeed, Rajanyasat Tama, O best of kings, Yatha, as Deha, the body, Priyatama, my most dear, tatha thus, na not, hai certainly, anu relative, ye which thinks, cha and tam to that. Hare Krishna. You want to read?
Translation also, yes, because
Yeah.
just one
Yes.
line.
In translation, indeed, for persons who think the body is the self, O best of kings, those things whose importance lies only in their relationship to the body are never as dear as the body itself. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Madhuri. So, Deh Atma Vadinam. Deh Atma Vadinam, you know, we say Vad. Vad means to speak. So, Deh Atma Vadinam is who ascribe to the view that the body is the self. So, Deh and Atma is the same. You know, many faiths, they say that once we die, we are in the box, or, you know, we're gone and there's no coming back. But those same people cannot explain that why in your own home, when there are 2 or 3 children with the same upbringing, they are all of different characters. They cannot explain that, you know. So, Deh Atmavadinam is one who ascribed to this view that the body is a self. And Sukadeva Goswami says here that those things whose importance lies only in the relationship to the body are never as dear as the body itself. So, in any case, we see first thing what we do when we are in a dangerous situation is try to preserve ourselves. Yeah. And that's the nature of the conditioning, that we want to preserve ourselves. You'll be surprised to know that when a calamity is hit, the devotees who are actually, you know, serving in the temple, first thing they want to do is go and save the deities. In Christ Church, when the earthquake struck, the devotees were there. They didn't think that, you know, I want to save myself. First, they want to go and save the deities. So this is the devotion we should have, that as verse 55 says, that we should think that no, Krishna is the soul of all souls, and let me at least get connected to Krishna and serve him in any possible way. So here, you know, the series continues here, that Sukadeva Goswami is saying, okay, you are, first of all, your own self is dear to you. Second, he says, but still, everything in relationship to the body is dear, but not as dear. So let's move on to the 53rd verse. Anyone wants to read the recite the verse, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. If you
Yes.
can read once, Prabhu, I can repeat that later.
Okay. Let me try also. Dehopi mamata bhak. Dehopi mamata, no. Dehopi mamata bhak chetar, no. Dehopi mamata bhak chet tariyason chet, no. Dehopi mamata bhak chetarso natmavata priya. Yajjiryati api dehesmin jivitasa baliyasi. I think someone else can try, or we can just recite simply.
Yeah. Dehopi mamata bhag chetarhi asau natvat priyaha yajjiryat api dehe swim jivitasa baliyasi.
Thank you. Read the word to word also.
Deha, the body, api also, mamata, of possessiveness, bhak, the focus, chet, if, tarhi, then, asau, that body, na, not, atmavat, in the same way as the soul, priyaha, dear, yat, because, jiryati, when it is growing old, api, even, dehe, the body, asmin, this, jiveta, asha, the desire to remain living, baliyasi, very strong.
Thank you.
Translation.
Okay, go ahead with the translation.
If a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, he certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, Even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
So as I said, this verse, Sukadeva Goswami is speaking about someone who slowly comes to realize, more with life experience than anything else, that, yes, I'm not the body, but the body is mine. That's the first realization someone who's becoming wise will have. And then Sukadeva Goswami says, yes, then I will not consider the body as my own self. And we will also not consider the body as our own self. We see many times when someone is very, very sick for a long time, or when someone is terminally ill, we actually sometimes pray that they must get out of this suffering. So while we are also understanding being not that body, but even that person thinks, okay, enough is enough. I don't want to live in this body. So they realize after, as I said, life experience, maybe long period of sickness, maybe terminal illness, that I don't want to live. But still, Sukadeva Goswami says here that after all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. And the Sanskrit word is used as Jivit Asha. Jivit Asha means the Asha to be alive, the desire to remain living. And what kind of Asha is this? Baliyasi, very strong. It's not ordinary. And that's why when someone is, we speak to the nurses and paramedicals and medicals in palliative care or in hospitals, they know that people are suffering so much, but because of their attachment to the body, and near and dear ones, they just don't want to live. They don't want to die. I personally know someone who had so many issues with the body. He had heart problem for a long time. He was, having cancer and so many things together. But he's still wanting to do more and more and more in business. When I'm thinking, you are like past 80, your body is riddled with so many diseases. Why would anyone want to start and grow business again? But this is, as I said, Jivit Asha, Baliyasi Jivit Asha. The desire to remain living is very, very strong. Even though when he knows that body is not going to live for much longer. And this again, when we see, as I said, this theme of the false ego, me attached to my body, is coming again and again and again. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, when one yaksha killed his own brother Uttama, he went and started killing so many yakshas, just completely, without any discrimination. He said, one yaksha has killed my brother, I will kill the entire clan. And then ultimately, what had to happen? Manu had to come, his own grandfather had to come and explain to him that this is not correct. Yes, you have taken your revenge by, maybe killing the yaksha who has killed your brother. But why are you so angry that you are bent on killing all these people? Again, this is, after he got this realization, he got the darshan of Lord Vishnu. It's not before. Just imagine. This feeling of me and mine is so strong that Dhruva Maharaj has already gotten darshan of the Lord. He's already come back. He's already ruling. And this attachment to the near and dear ones is so strong that is indiscriminately killing so many yakshas. Same thing happens when Indra is stealing the horse of the 100, Ashwamedh sacrifices of King Prithu. King Prithu, Indra is again, because of his attachment, because of his insecurity, he's trying to stop Prithu Maharaj doing the 100 sacrifices. So both Indra and Prithu, you can see from their examples, they're so attached to their positions, and ultimately Brahma had to come and tell Prithu Maharaj that please let your 99 sacrifices satisfy you. Please don't worry about the 100 sacrifices. You already know what the truth is. So don't try to spend your energy on chasing Indra. Because the more you do it, Indra will come up with more devious means, and in future, because as we know, in that pastime, Indra came up with different veshas, with different dresses of sannyasis to steal the horse from Prithumara's sacrifice. And currently in Kali Yuga, the same different levels of cheating, different forms of cheating are going on in the form of different religions. So Brahma said to Prithu Maharaj that the more you do, the more Indra will become devious and the more cheating will happen in the coming ages. So please don't do that. Prabhupada also very wonderfully, just right in the first canto, he says that for us also, when we get up in the morning, when we start, doing our sadhana, even when in our speech, we should be very careful, because ultimately, whatever is in our heart is in our minds, and then whatever in our mind comes out as our speech, and whatever is in our mind and speech comes out as our actions. So Prabhupada speaks very nicely in one of the purports that that we get up in the morning and we start speaking. He says, people, the whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, the beasts, the men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. Because of our conditioning, we are acting, we are speaking, we are behaving in certain ways. And now if you imagine, you notice yourself and others, how much time are we speaking about Krishna and how much time are we speaking about other things? Because as we hear from Chaturshloki, Krishna says that anything which is not in connection with me, know that is illusion. So Prabhupada says, in the mornings, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. Lawyers in the courtrooms, they become busy with questions and answers. Business people in markets are busy with questions and answers. The politicians are busy with questions and answers. But Prabhupada says, although they go on making so many questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Prabhupada ends with a beautiful sentence: the satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. So this is first canto, second chapter, fifth verse. First canto, second chapter, fifth verse, where Prabhupada says, very, very interesting. Again, when Narad Muni is speaking to Vyasadeva, in the beginning again of Srīmad Bhāgavatam, when Vyasadeva, after written so much, is morose, and Narad Muni appears on the stage, and he says, why, my dear Vyasadeva, you are so sad? And then Vyasadeva explains to him that even I've written all these scriptures, but I'm not happy. And then Narad Muni speaks this wonderful, famous verse, 1.5.14. It is very, very meaningful verse. If we really understand, we really meditate on that. 1.5.14. If anyone wants to write this down. Narad Muni is speaking to Vyasadeva, and he says, whatever you desire to describe, so Vyasadeva was already described. So Narad Muni is saying, whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts. So whatever we think, whatever we act, whatever we speak, which is separate in vision from the Lord, simply reacts with the different forms, names, and results. And what is the result? To agitate the mind. How? As the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. So very wonderfully, Narad Muni is saying that we must have our vision aligned in sync with the Lord's vision. We must speak what the Lord wants us to speak. And Prabhupada, Sukadeva Goswami, very wonderfully, he speaks in the 14th verse in the same chapter, 1-14. 1-14, Tasmad, one of my favorite verses, Tasmad eke namanasa Bhagavan satvatam patihi shotavyah kirtitavyascha dhyayah pujyasta nityada. So Sukadeva Goswami says, therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. Bhagavan Satvatam Patihi. So what we should do is Shrotavyah kirtitavyascha heyah pujyascha nityada. So this way, when we continuously do this, we will be not so much engrossed in the bodily concept, and we will understand that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, servant of Krishna, just by focusing our one-pointed attention to the Lord. Thank you very much for hearing. Any questions or comments? Any reflections, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
On the subject that you said, one of the businessmen who was old, who's only doing business, what I see is many of them, they don't know what they have to do after their retirement. So
Yes.
that's where they get stuck and get into the material of doing businesses and other things.
Yes.
Okay. Just my
Yes.
view on that one, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. That's why, when we are training ourselves and our children from the beginning in the spiritual life, when people say we don't know what to do, we say we don't have time to finish what we are trying to do. And devotees have actually always facing lack of time, but somehow Krishna manages, and we can get by. But there is so much to do. There's so much to do, and personally for me, I'm excited that I don't know so many things, and I need to know so many things. I have not done so many services, and I need to do so many services. I need to touch so many hearts. So we all need to do this. That we are excited. Yes, so much to do, man. Just let's do it together. Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
You're
we
very
have
encouraging, Prabhu. Thank you.
we have got a positive alternative. Param Drishtva Nivartate. Krishna says in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we have the higher taste. So why not, taste the higher taste completely? Why stand on the fence? Why stay on the fence? Just dive deep and just have fun in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Anything? We have, of course, a bit above, but today is Saturday. So I hope you don't mind us going a little bit over. Any questions? Any comments, reflections? Okay, thank you very much. Granth Raj, Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This evening, we are very fortunate to have His Grace Gokuleshwar Prabhu enlightening us on how arrival of Krishna, appearance of Krishna is a festival. And for us, when we invite the holy name into our lives every day in the morning, every day is a festival. Every morning is a festival, every 6:30 is a festival, every 4 o'clock is a festival, every 5 o'clock is a festival. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.